Ryan Mercer had always prided himself on one thing: surviving the unexpected. But nothing in his military career had prepared him for what awaited behind the door labeled Crew Quarters 47B. He pressed the panel to unlock, and the lights blinked on with their usual, polite delay, casting long shadows across the tight, utilitarian room. Grey walls, a single bunk, a fold-down desk, and the faint metallic smell of recycled air greeted him. It was standard issue, efficient, almost hostile in its order. Perfect for a soldier, lonely, quiet, and forgettable. But it was not empty. Something stirred in the fold-out sleeping compartment. Ryan froze, hand hovering near his sidearm, even though regulations forbade him from carrying weapons on station leave. The pale figure curled in the compartment looked human at first glance, but the ears gave her away, long, tapering, delicate, and impossibly alien. Black hair fell in a messy halo around her face, and her wide, dark eyes locked on his with raw, unmistakable fear. Ryan swallowed. "Okay," he said, careful. "Either I'm hallucinating, or someone's hiding in my bunk." The alien flinched. "I'm in the sleeping compartment," she said, voice sharp and formal. Important distinction. Ryan blinked. Reassuring. He glanced toward the corridor as if station security might materialize and explain all of this. Nothing. The door slid shut behind him, sealing them together. "I'll leave immediately," she said, her tone brittle. "Unless you intend to alert authorities. 10-second warning, preferably." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Authorities? Hardly. But names might help. I'm Ryan. And you are?" "Tevin," she replied, voice clipped, almost rehearsed. "I was fleeing security. Wrong door." "Classic mistake," Ryan said dryly. "Wrong door is kind of my specialty too." Her ears twitched, a subtle motion that belied tension. Ryan felt a twist in his chest, a quiet empathy for this creature, a stranger thrust into danger. "Why are they after you?" he asked. "Because I'm convenient," she said, almost too honestly. Ryan smirked. "Spies and analysts need better excuses." "I am no spy," she corrected. "I analyze languages. Contracts mostly. Poorly written ones." "Sounds risky," Ryan said. "People hate that." For a heartbeat, she allowed herself a small, human smile. Ryan noticed the fleeting warmth and decided he liked it. "One night. Stay quiet. Don't touch anything explosive or expensive. Morning, we figure it out." Her eyes widened. "You won't report me?" "Not my style," Ryan said. "Reputation intact." She slid out of the compartment, careful, tense. Up close, she appeared almost human, except for the ears, stubbornly alien. "I cannot take the bed," she said. "You absolutely can," Ryan replied, tossing her a blanket. That night, Ryan lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling as she whispered to herself, "Humans are not what the briefings promised." Ryan chuckled softly. "We get that a lot." The station's mechanical hum filled the room. Outside, lights flickered to simulate morning, and Ryan offered her a ration bar. She hesitated, took a bite, and nodded. "This is not terrible." "High praise," Ryan said. By the third day, Ryan's room had changed. 2 ration wrappers sat on the desk. A blanket claimed a chair. Tevin had subtly decorated a corner with 3 personal items: a metallic disc, an embroidered cloth, and a humming translation unit. Ryan eyed them, pretending not to stare. "Command will think I've joined a cult," he said. "We are selective," she said without looking up. A sudden vibration pulsed through the floor. Lights dimmed. Station announcements declared docking bay activity increased. Ryan's stomach tightened. "Not great," he muttered. Tevin's gaze dropped to the floor, fingers curling around the cloth. "You will leave," she said quietly. "Soon," Ryan admitted. The tension between them was heavy, silent, loaded with things neither dared name. He broke it with humor. "Hey, if I don't make it back, you're officially in charge of my stuff." She laughed. Soft. Real. Not fearful. By the 5th day, Ryan's unit received deployment orders. Immediate. No exceptions. Tevin noticed the change. You are leaving today, she said. Looks that way, Ryan said. Her ears, once pressed flat with fear, drooped with disappointment. She masked it quickly. Then we should resolve this before urgency removes our ability to think. Ryan forced a grin. Urgency usually makes me trip over things. She gave him a look. Sharp. Intelligent. Observant. He liked that. The station announced that the suspect linked to the espionage incident had been cleared. Tevin froze mid-step, translator humming. Cleared, she whispered. That's you, Ryan said. You're free. The danger that had shadowed them lifted, leaving a fragile silence. Ryan stepped aside. Tevin approached slowly, hand hovering near the doorway. You will leave, she said. Soon, Ryan replied. I have spent my life being moved, directed, hidden, she said quietly. This is the first place I have stayed by choice. Ryan felt an unfamiliar twist in his chest. I didn't intend to be a sanctuary, he said. That is precisely why it worked, Tevin said, steady, sure. The docking bay alarm sounded. Ryan slung his pack over his shoulder. I have to go. Tevin met him halfway. I am no longer hiding. I am deciding. He understood. Me too, he said. They walked into the corridor together, no longer soldier and fugitive, but two beings carrying fragile trust into an uncertain future. The station hummed around them, oblivious to the quiet transformation of two lives. Weeks later, deep in space, Ryan's wrist display pulsed. A signal. Consent confirmed. He laughed quietly. Found my way back to the right door, he said. On a neutral station orbiting a distant star, Tevin stood in an office that no longer felt like a cage. Ears relaxed, heart steady, knowing that some accidents weren't mistakes, they were beginnings. The transport shuddered as it detached from the docking bay, sliding silently into the dark expanse of space. Ryan Mercer adjusted the straps of his pack, feeling the familiar weight of his rifle settle against his back. Orders and routines blurred together, a monotonous hum compared to the unexpected rhythm he had found with Tevin. Weeks of relative calm aboard the neutral station had ended abruptly. Intelligence reports hinted at an insurgent cell moving within the outer sectors, targeting both civilian and military assets. Ryan's unit had been dispatched to investigate, a routine security sweep that had suddenly become a high-stakes mission. He glanced toward the far edge of the transport bay where Tevin stood, her pale features set in determined lines. The metallic disc she had given him earlier rested against her palm. Its faint hum matched the pulse in his chest. She had insisted on joining, arguing that her linguistic expertise could be essential in identifying coded messages within intercepted communications. You really don't have to come, Ryan said, voice low, testing the boundary between courtesy and command. I do, she replied firmly. If something goes wrong, you'll need someone who can read their intentions before bullets do. Her ears twitched subtly, a natural alarm system he had grown to notice. Ryan nodded. She had a point, though he would never admit that aloud. The transport's interior lights flickered as it passed through the station's outer field. Beyond the windows, the dark canvas of space stretched infinitely, dotted with distant stars. Ryan's unit was quiet, focused, all too aware of the sudden tension. But in the corner, Tevin hummed softly, translating intercepted transmissions that came in bursts through the transport's secure feed. Interesting, she muttered, pointing at the display. They're using standard galactic communication protocols, but embedded in the code are subtle emotional triggers. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Emotional triggers. Humans, she said simply, as if that explained everything. Your species leaves too many breadcrumbs in your signals. It is fascinating. Her comment made him smirk. He had survived firefights, ambushes, and bureaucracy, but this, an alien analyzing humanity, felt like a new kind of scrutiny. Minutes later, the transport docked with an unregistered station on the outskirts of the sector. The AI interface flagged it as Station X-19, a relic from pre-galactic coalition construction, abandoned and rumored to harbor insurgents. Ryan's team moved swiftly, silent and methodical. Tevin stayed close, scanning the hallways with her alien-enhanced perception. Something's off, she whispered, voice barely audible over their footsteps. Ryan glanced at her. Define off. Temperature fluctuations in the walls, she said. Air pressure anomalies. Someone has been here, recently, and left deliberate traces to confuse sensors. Standard human detection wouldn't notice. He nodded. She was right. This wasn't just a derelict station. Someone wanted them here, someone capable. The team split into pairs. Ryan and Tevin were assigned to sweep the command deck. The corridor stretched before them, dim lights flickering like tired stars. They moved silently, feet tapping softly against the metal grates. Every corner could hide a threat, every shadow a potential ambush. As they reached the central control hub, Tevin froze. Ryan, she hissed, pointing at the walls. Faint scratches ran along the paneling. Symbols, slightly smudged, almost invisible. He crouched, examining them. Looks like a warning, or a trap. They are marking paths for someone else. Not us, Tevin said. The signal is meant for those familiar with the station. Outsiders should stumble. Ryan's pulse quickened. Whoever set this up was meticulous. And they had anticipated human and alien collaboration. A sudden hiss echoed from the far side of the room. The two spun, weapons raised. Shadows moved, tall figures in cloaks designed to blend with the station walls. Ryan fired first, a controlled burst that caught one assailant in the shoulder. Tevin reacted instantly, activating a compact stunner from her belt. The figure collapsed silently, unconscious but alive. Ryan exhaled sharply. This was supposed to be a routine sweep. Tevin's ears twitched. Routine rarely exists outside your military briefing rooms. They pressed forward, clearing the command deck. In the control center, screens flickered with outdated station schematics. Tevin examined the console. I can override the local network, she said, fingers flying over the interface. If I can gain control, we can track movement patterns. Ryan covered her, noting the tension in her posture. Though she appeared calm, every twitch of her ears betrayed heightened alertness. He admired her focus. Most humans would have panicked by now. Minutes later, the system hummed under her control. Red dots blinked across the station map. Multiple intruders moving toward the central storage. Ryan nodded. We need to intercept them before they reach the cargo. It's likely explosives or weapons. They moved swiftly, following the schematics. Tevin led, reading the environmental cues only she could perceive. Temperature shifts, faint vibrations in the floor, subtle traces of human chemical markers. They reached the storage deck just as a group of cloaked figures attempted to breach the reinforced doors. Ryan raised his rifle. Freeze! The intruders turned, revealing masks that concealed their faces. One of them lunged with a concealed blade. Ryan dodged, using the momentum to knock the figure back. Tevin activated her stun device, striking two more intruders in rapid succession. For a tense minute, the corridor became a dance of motion and precision, Ryan firing controlled shots that disabled but did not kill, Tevin stunning with pinpoint accuracy. The last intruder froze, hands raised, and Ryan stepped forward. You could have been faster, Tevin muttered. Ryan shot her a glance. I'm saving my best moves for after breakfast. She shook her head, but a small smile tugged at her lips. Humor, even in the middle of danger, was a human trait she had learned to appreciate. With the immediate threat neutralized, they secured the storage deck. Tevin quickly examined the crates. Explosives, she confirmed. They intended to sabotage supply routes. Casualties would have been significant. Ryan exhaled. Good thing we arrived when we did. Tevin studied him, her ears angled back thoughtfully. You act without hesitation. I find that inspiring. He smirked. I call it experience. You call it heroics. Perhaps, she said. Her voice was soft, but firm. You remind me that humans, despite flaws, have resilience built into them. A quality that is admirable. Ryan felt a warmth in his chest. HFY moments weren't usually so quiet, so personal. But here it was, in a dimly lit station on the edge of known space. Their comms crackled. All units report, the voice demanded. Ryan responded first, detailing the situation. Tevin added her notes on environmental markers and insurgent behavior. The commander's voice acknowledged the report, granting permission to return to the transport. As they moved back through the station, Ryan glanced at Tevin. Not bad for a linguist. She allowed herself a small grin. And not bad for a soldier who leaves doors unlocked. They reached the transport, weary but unscathed. Ryan looked out the viewport, watching Station X-19 shrink into a pinprick of darkness. Danger had been averted, for now. But the mission had done more than neutralize threats. It had cemented trust, forged through shared danger, silent understanding, and the human capacity to act when it counted most. Hours later, aboard the transport, Ryan sat cross-legged, rifle resting nearby. Tevin adjusted her translator device, humming softly, and paused to look at him. "You could have gone alone," she said, quiet. "And miss seeing you in action." "Never." She tilted her head. "You take risks." He shrugged. "Someone has to." Her ears twitched, a subtle sign he had learned to read. "Someone has to also care," she said, almost whispering. Ryan met her gaze. Words failed him, as usual. But he understood. The transport hummed, carrying them away from danger and toward uncertain futures, a human and an alien who had found common ground in chaos. In the quiet moments, as stars streaked past the viewport, Ryan reflected on something he hadn't realized before. Survival wasn't just about skill or training. Sometimes, it was about connection. Trust. The willingness to step into the unknown with someone who made you feel less alone. Tevin noticed his gaze and raised an eyebrow. "Thinking." "Always," Ryan said. "About doors, wrong turns, and unexpected allies." "Then you are learning," she replied. "Humans may stumble, but when they do, they leave trails worth following." Ryan laughed softly. The station, the mission, the chaos of the outer sectors. All of it felt smaller somehow. Weeks of patrols followed, each encounter refining their teamwork, building unspoken strategies and synchrony. Tevin's insight saved lives, not once, but multiple times. Ryan's tactical decisions kept them alive, repeatedly turning dangerous situations into lessons in patience and timing. One night, aboard the quiet transport, Ryan finally spoke what had lingered between them. "I think I'd trust you with my life." Tevin paused, considering, then allowed herself a small smile. "And I would, in return. That is rare among humans." For the first time, Ryan felt something shift, not fear, not duty, but a quiet certainty that the universe, unpredictable as it was, had brought them together for reasons neither fully understood. As the transport slipped past another asteroid field and into the safety of monitored space, Ryan glanced at Tevin. "Wrong doors can lead to the right outcomes," he said. She tilted her head, ears twitching. "That is human wisdom." Ryan smirked. "One of my specialties." And in the hum of the engines, with the stars glimmering beyond reinforced windows, two very different lives continued, bound not by obligation, but by choice, trust, and the unshakable pull of shared survival.